Welcome to Opening the Door to the Unknown with your host, Dr. Clark Schmidt. Welcome to the studios of Opening the Door to the Unknown. I'm your host, Dr. Clark Schmidt. I've been thinking of how to close the first book of Opening the Doors to the Unknown, the last chapter, if you will, as to move on to book two. And so I decided to talk about meditation. Now I have briefly mentioned meditation in few of the chapters. In fact, chapter on energy, on working with the energy systems of the body. I briefly mentioned about meditation, on how to experience a past life with meditation, but I really want to get more into the depth, more into the details and depth of how to perform the act itself. It's just like you want to bury something. Is that you take a say you want to bury something, flowers for an example, and you get the roots of the flowers instead of the whole flower, as to put it into the ground, and you take your little shovel and you start digging up the dirt, and you take the roots of the plant and you put it in there, but you find out it's not deep enough, so you dig a little bit deeper, and you shove the plant with the root, or the roots of the bulb, uh, into the hole. You still found out it's not deep enough, so you kind of dig a little bit more, and all of a sudden, boom, it fits right in. Then you just take your loosened dirt that you have from your shoveling, and you bring it back, and you fill up the hole, and then you slowly, nicely but not hard, pat down the dirt, water the root, and hope that it grows. Well, that's what meditation is. That's um, the science of it. That's the science of it. And yes, meditation is a science. And the reason why I say that is that because a lot of things, as you start to learn, as you start to begin to meditate, a lot of things begin to formulate. All right. But before I get into that aspect, I like to say is that if you're going to begin meditation, you have to work with what I call is the four D's, which is dedication, diligence, de- um, de- dedication, diligence, devotion, and determination. Those are the four D's that you have to work with when you start the practice of and working with meditation. If you don't work with the four D's, you're never going to accomplish moving out of the mundane world of the lower self, begin to slowly move upwards into the higher self, getting from the microcosm, and start to slowly move up to get into the macrocosm. Okay. Now the only time that how should I say, the only time is that you actually want to stay within the microcosm of self is going through an experience of reincarnation. Besides, but that is again the only time that you want to stay within the lower self. All the other times that you do your meditative exercises is that you again you want to get out of the mundane, get out of get out of the micro self, and start to slowly rise into the higher, into the macro, working with again the heart, the third eye, no, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and also the crown chakra. Okay. So, um, excuse me. So, mm, coffee is so good in the morning. So, I'm going to teach you just how you're going to move out of the microcosmic self, the mundane world, and slowly begin to rise into your higher self, the higher will, the macrocosm. And again, the macrocosm self is your playground. Okay? And it's a little bit different than the playground that when we were kids, that we, you didn't have like the sandbox, and you had the, like when we were kids, is that the playground that you played on had like the sandbox, the swings, and the slides, and the merry-go-round, and maybe they would let you, if climb a tree or whatever. But when you're playing in the higher will, the higher self, the macrocosm is where you really, really expand. Okay, expand the mind. All right, this is where you really expand the mind and can really experience strange new like strange new wonders. Like the awe of the universe. Okay, to where if you just want to play within, if you want to stay within the microcosm, within the microcosmic self, again, it's for it's for reincarnation, to experience past lives, and there's nothing wrong, and I feel there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I remember many years ago is that this is when transcendental meditation first began to crop up in the United States. Is that everybody was, oh wow, meditation, Beatles, TM, oh wow. Well, that was great. I mean, is that there was a great following. Okay, a great following back then, because the Beatles were learning under Maharishi, I forget his full name, and so whatever the Beatles did, their followers had to, their fans, I should say, had to follow. If they were doing transcendental meditation, then I want to try transcendental meditation. But it was like money. And believe me, at that time it was money to learn the art. And yes, meditation, like anything else, is an art of study, of learning, of how is what was taught us how to expand the mind. But I really didn't like it. I tested the waters myself, not because I followed the Beatles or I was a fan of the Beatles. And people are going to hate me for saying it, but I was never a fan of the Beatles. But I guess my music is a lot. My taste of music is a little bit different than other people's taste of music. Okay, and the Beatles just didn't. I just didn't have the taste for the Beatles. Rolling Stones, the Animals, but never the Dave Clark Five, Paul Revere and the Raiders. Okay, but never the Beatles. For some reason, you know, they just didn't interest me. But the thought of learning transcendental meditation did. So I decided, so I decided to test the waters, and I found out I really didn't like it. And I like the philosophy behind it, but not the actual experiencing of going into yourself. You know, like going into yourself. And when it came time to learning how to expand outwards from the macrocosm, getting from the microcosm into the macrocosm, that interests me a lot more. And and this is what I like to teach today. For people to actually for people to really experience just what a true meditation is. Now, a lot of people think that meditation, especially when you're starting to go with inside yourself, is like self-hypnosis. In fact, a lot of people used to ask me, well, isn't meditation like a self-hypnosis where you give yourself hypnotic suggestions? And I said, no, completely different. Okay, completely different. I said, is that if you want to be hypnotized, you have a hypnotherapist that knows what they're doing to hypnotize you. But if you want to go into meditation, you want to go into meditation. You actually want to get into a complete trance-like state. It's just like I mentioned about mediumship. When you have a physical medium, when they go into a complete trance state, it's you project through astral projection as to leave the physical body, as to allow spirit to come in and for a little while, as to give messages to who's ever in the circle. And then when it's time for that spirit to leave, so the medium's astral spirit can come back inside. It has to vacate as to allow that person's astral to slip back into the physical. Remember, no two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. And okay, so that's just like when you go into meditation through the correct method, is that you're going to experience, again, if you want to experience the past life, is I explain that in the reincarnation in book eight, I think, 8 or 9, and how to do that. And you might say, well, to tell yourself to get onto the elevator and to press the blower and to press the button for the elevator to go down until it stops and to walk out. Yes, that is giving yourself a hypnotic suggestion in that sense. Okay, and I will admit that, and I think that's really the only time is that you give that type of hypnotic suggestion. But remember, you are giving that suggestion to yourself and not the hypnotherapist that has hypnotized you to experience a past life regression. Okay, you are in control to where the hypnotist is in control of you. So he or she can manipulate you in a sense to where you are manipulating yourself. Okay. As to move out, and as to begin to move out into the macrocosm self, is that you will start to feel shifts in your energies, okay? And the more that you start to move into a trance-like, and as you slowly begin to move into that trance-like state, there's more shifting of the energies, and the mind now is beginning to expand outwards, okay? And that's the fun part, and that's really the fun part. That's when you start to really have some strange experiences. Some people might say, "Well, do I actually experience like dreaming?" In a sense, yes. Okay, um, and that does have to do with that does touch upon psychology. Let me put it that way. It does touch upon psychology. But remember, you don't have to be a I mean, you don't have to. As being a parapsychologist, for an example, you don't have to study the whole. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, how the brain actually operates. Okay, remember, parapsychology and psychology are two different things. Remember, para just means alongside of, but again, you don't have to have a degree, and you're not in parapsychology. Now, if you want to become a parapsychologist, yeah, that's something different. Okay, that is something entirely different. If you're going to be working with them, if you're going to be working with the mind, with somebody's human behavior, with somebody's human behavior, you don't want to screw that person. You don't want to screw that person up. To where in parapsychology, you're just researching, you're investigating how psychic abilities were clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, how to um, perform an astral projection, how to regress yourself into experiencing a past life. Okay, so you don't need a degree in that, but one should know just a little bit about how the mind works. I do remember one time is that um, we had what was it, sleep deprivation. I do remember we did an experiment with sleep deprivation, and found out that after like 8 hours you start to feel a little tired. After 16 hours you're getting a little bit more tired. After one day of not having sleep, is that your energies of the body begin to shift on you now, and you can start to feel like a little bit of shaking, you might say. After 36 hours, is that the mind now is starting to play tricks. You really start to get like hunger, like thirst. You're starting to feel more of the body shakes. And we went up at, if I remember rightly, I think we did 60 hours of the sleep deprivation. And after we hit about the 60-hour mark, is that you start to see stars, lights. We started to begin to hallucinate a little bit, where we saw like shadows and figures, and really crazy shit, man. I mean, um, and when the experiment was over with, it was like, oh, it was such a relief to crash. I mean, not going back to class for a couple of days. You might say, to get to actually pass out and just sleep and sleep and sleep, as so your body starts to shift again to get back into its natural functioning. Okay. They also found out like the heart rate would, sometimes it went up. I mean, sometimes the heart rate would speed up, and sometimes the heart rate would slow down. The blood pressure, like for the heart rate, the blood pressure would slow down. So it was weird. It was really weird, and that reminded me of meditation. If I remember rightly, there are four. Um, I'm trying to think of the word. There are. I don't want to say sections. Um, Anyways, I can't think of the word, but we go into from beta, alpha, delta, and the last is the zeta. So we are in the beta. Uh, Beta is like the is the conscious mind. Okay, the getting into the states. Okay, getting into like to the beta state is the being conscious. Get slowly moving into the alpha is when we go to sleep and everything starts to slow down a little bit. Then you get into the delta state. Okay, and now your brain is really beginning to how should I say. Um, Oh, not shut down, but the body is. It's like starting to move into coma. Okay, it's starting to move into like a coma, and then you get into the zeta state is where you're actually in coma, which means is that the body is just boom, but your mind is still there. The body is functioning, and the brain is still functioning, but you aren't functioning. Okay, it's like coma. It's like um, what doctors call small death. It's right before. It's right before we actually do pass on to where the astral finally leaves the physical body, and the silver cord is cut, and then death occurs. So we go from beta to alpha to delta to zeta. Once we get into the zeta state, then it's like the last is death itself. Okay, in meditation, is that you can go from the beta state to the alpha to slip down into the delta state. You don't want to go any farther than that. Okay, you don't want to go and you don't want to go any farther than that. Um, if In fact, I don't think, if I remember, is that when you say for if you have an operation, for an example, is that when the anesthesiologist knocks your ass out, they only take you down. They only take you down to the delta state. If they want to take you even further, to try to keep to keep to put you on life support, is that's when they send you down just a little bit farther down than you're this touching this touching the zeta, getting into full coma. Because like I said, once they get into full coma, then the next step, real quick, is death. And they don't want to take, they do not actually want you to get you into that zeta state. This is what I remember, and this goes back years and years and years ago. So I try to take people, from the beta to the conscious level to the alpha, to where you're just trying to fall asleep, and slowly move down into the delta state, and just keep you right in delta. And this is where you have, and this is where you have the when you experience reincarnation, for an example, or if you want to move yourself upward, then that's when you can astral project and get out into the cosmic, into your cosmic playground. And you should feel, okay, and you should feel when you start slipping from one to another, is like, again, is that you should be able to feel the changes of your energies. Like I said, very subtle. It starts out very subtly, then all of a sudden it's like bam, it's like boom, you know. Like somebody gave you a quick shot in the arm. There's no pain, but you can feel that connection. Okay, like I said, as somebody is punching you in, like getting the arm or shoulder. Okay, and that's what. And once you start to feel that connection, okay, then you know that you are meditating correctly. Okay, so I'm gonna take you. Now you can follow along with me, or you can just listen. I mean, or you can just watch and listen to what I'm saying. I mean, it depends on you. Or if you want to try, you know, to get yourself into a meditative state, you can listen to this again chapter. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is, when I used to tell my students, is that you want to find a place that's going to be your own little sanctuary. It could be in the bedroom, could be in the study, it could be in the living room, if you have a man cave, out in the garage, wherever, okay? And that's going to be your own sanctuary, which means is you don't want to have any interruptions. Dogs, cats, children, wife, friends. No phone, no car, no TV sets, no radios, nothing. All right? Because you don't want the disturbances. You do not want the disturbances of practicing. Okay? The next thing try it again. The next thing that I tell my students, and you might be a little shocked. You go, oh my God, but I found out through practice of having clothes on and also clothes off. When I meditate, I like to have my clothes off, and here's the reason. Number one is that clothes hinders, okay? Clothes hinders not only the cells of the body, but what I mean by the cells of the body, the skin, is that clothes hinders the skin in certain ways. It hinders from the skin to actually breathe, like we breathe. Okay, skin breathes as well, and clothes is like if you somebody has you in a chokehold and closes up your windpipe. It's like you're trying to take in that breath. Okay, it's hard to do. Well, that's what clothes do with the breathing of the skin. It's like, again, it's like trying to draw in that breath into the lungs. So I always like to meditate with the clothes off. Okay. Um, the next thing is that um, sometimes I like using different aromas for incense. You know, that helps the with the incense with the aroma that you like. Okay, what that you like is how should I say opens up the sense of smell. Okay, they always say is like if you just somebody just got done cutting the grass, you have that nice grass cut aroma. You know the aroma from the grass being cut, and it's like an aphrodisiac for some reason. Okay, it heightens the senses. Well, this is like incense. You can use that type of aroma that you like, if it's patchouli or if it's a vanilla or if it's whatever, whatever sense that you like, use it. I also tell people is not to have lights on. Okay, is that you can have a couple of white candles, but be careful that you don't burn down your man cave or or your home, wherever that you have set up your inner sanctum. But a couple of white. I like to use white candles because white again is the energy of purity. You wouldn't use black candles like if you were going to contact a Bloody Mary, for an example. So you can use white candles for purity. You can also use blue candles or purple. Um, I wouldn't use green unless you're going to give yourself a self healing, and I might discuss that in just a few minutes. You might. But so, anyways, you can go to white, blue. You can even use purple. I wouldn't use pink. Let's see, white, purple, blue would be my three major colors. Now, you can find a nice, whatever say if you're in the living room, is that whatever your favorite chair is, easy chair. Or if you're in your study, again, you might be on a chair like I'm on, or sitting in, okay? Um, so you want to get yourself comfortable, okay? So here you got no, so here you're going to begin to you're going to be, you're going to try it again. You're going to be beginning to practice your meditation with no clothes on if you decide to go that route. And if you want to wear clothes, experiment. But you're going to find out is that it's going to be it's like after a while you just want to just take them off, okay, to get that egg, to get your skin to actually breathe, to regenerate, and to get those cells, to get rid of the dead cells, and to let your cells regenerate. Okay. You got your reeds, you got your chair, you got your candles, you got your incense. No music. People always like to play music. No, music is a Music is a distraction. Is a distraction. And again, when you want to, and if you want to meditate properly, you don't want to have any distractions. I mean, it's like saying is, well, gee, I'm going to meditate, but I'm going to have the kids, the dog, the cat, the TV, the radio, my wife, and having guests over, and I'm going to meditate now. No, you'll never get into the experience. You will never get into the experience. Okay, so no distractions, which means there's no TV, no radio. Again, this is your sanctum. This is your own inner sanctum. This is your 35 minutes to an hour quiet time. Okay? Now, You're sitting in your chair, your favorite chair. You got the candles going, whatever color you got, the incense, whatever aroma, clothes on or off. Now, what you want to do is you want to get yourself positioned. Now you see a lot of, now you see here, like this gentleman here. You see how his legs here are crossed, okay? This was taught in transcendental meditation of how to cross the legs, and you see how his he's got his fingers, like in a loop like that on both sides for the yin yang. Well, yeah, yes, but you also see something else here. You see here, he's fine here, but he's got his fingers hanging down. So is that when what's happening is that the energy that you're trying to build up is starting to circulate throughout the body, but at the same time it's going around. It's like a loop the loop. Like say for an example, a roller coaster where it goes around and then goes down like that. Well, that's what happens. The energies are building, starting to not penetrate, but to I'm thinking of the word here, um, surround the body, if you will. But then all of a sudden you're losing it. It goes into the loop and then out. Well, that's the wrong way. That's the entirely wrong. That's entirely wrong way because you don't want to lose that energy. So if you want to put your fingers together, I mean, like if you want to make if you want to make if you want to make the circle, okay, you don't, because like I said, is that all the energies are going to do is just going to make that loop and right out they go. So you're building up, but then you're you're building up, but then you're releasing. Okay. So what you want to do is that if you want to, you know, make the little circles for the yin yang, okay, and put it down to your sides, that's fine. Then the energies are looping, but then they're going here like this. The energies are looping. Okay, you can even go like that. I mean, you can even go. Oh, here we go. There, you see, I still got the circle, but you see how my fingers are like that? Okay, so what's happening is that the energies will loop, come through here, and then go travel back up, instead of going, losing, going into Gaia. Okay, so um, you're not gaining anything. And the idea in meditation is that you want to gain. You want to gain with the like you want to gain with the energies of the body. You want to charge the energies up. Okay? Say for an example, and I always like to tell my students, used to tell my students, like when you cross your legs to get into that yoga position, for an example, it's like a beaver. And like I said, I always like this example. It's like a beaver. Is that a beaver loves streams. And any place there's a stream, even if the stream flows into a lake, they always like to build their dam by the exit where the water flows out into the lake. They always like to build their dam right there. Or they like to build, if it's just a stream, they always like to build their dam where? Always in the middle. Okay, and there's reasons for that. But we're not beavers. We're humans. Okay? So when a person crosses their legs, it's like the beaver has found its spot, starts to cut down the trees, drags the log, drags the logs, and starts building the dam. Well, the water uh, is, the water's flowing nice, traveling with the current, down the stream, and it just continues until it finds its outlet into another stream or a lake or a river, whatever. But as the beaver now begins to build its dam, its home, you might say, is the water can still run, the water can still flow, but it's not flowing like it should because it's got a blockage, and that blockage is the beaver's building its home. And before long, when the beaver is done building that dam, building its home, all of a sudden what happens? You have the water, boom, it can't run anymore as it could if the beaver's home was not in the middle of the stream. Okay? So it's just like if you cross your legs, for an example, getting into that lotus position, is that you're blocking again the flow of energy. And again, is that you don't want to block the flow of energy. You want that energy to be like that stream without the beaver's home, to where it can just, slowly, progressively travel down until it finds its outlet into another stream or to a river or a lake. Okay? So never cross your legs. It looks good, okay? It looks good to see, to see this, and also getting into the lotus position. All right? So that's how I used to teach and they found out, and I said, if you don't believe me, experiment. If you can cross your legs, and if you can, get into the yin yang, and put, and put your, like to the sides here, on your elbow, on the chair for your elbow rest here, like that, and from here like that, you're going to find out there's a big difference. Okay, you're not going to experience, you're not going to receive the full effect of your meditation. All right, so like I said, experiment, and that's the idea. Anything in the metaphysical, the esoteric, or in the hermetics is an experiment. Okay? Now, you got everything quiet, you got your candles, you got either clothes on or clothes off. You're in your chair, or what? You're in your easy chair or whatever, You got your feet flat on. You got your feet flat on the ground, and so now, what you want to do is just close your eyes, and start taking the deep breath into the lungs. All right, and as you take that deep breath into your lungs, you want to actually feel your lungs begin. I got a friend in my wall here that's chewing. There you go. Where am I? Oh, you want to slowly taking that deep breath into the lungs through your nostrils, all right? and you want to feel your lungs expand, and you want to hold for 5 seconds, and after that 5 second count, you want to slowly exhale through the mouth, and you want to feel your lungs, collapse, or okay, not actually collapse, but actually you want to feel the air out of the lungs, and you hold for 5 seconds. So I give it the accordion. So it's like this, okay? It's like taking a deep breath in, slowly exhaling. Taking a deep breath in, slow, he's over here now. Slowly exhaling. Taking a deep breath in, slowly exhaling. And it, and as you continue doing the 5 by 5 of the in, the out, the in, the out, you're going to start to feel again your energies are going to start to slowly shift. All right, and remember, you got your eyes closed, okay? And as you continue doing your 5 by 5, you start to feel your energy shift. Is like your sense of hearing. You're going to with noises. A lot of the noises that are around you, even though you're in your own sanctuary, you're still going to be noises around you. Are going to start to slowly dissipate. Okay, and as you continue doing your 5 by 5 by 5 by 5, you can start to slowly feel not only the energies beginning to shift, but also, again, the sense of hearing is going to start to slowly shut down. And your heart rate is going to begin to slow down as your pulse. So now your body's beginning to slow down a little bit. Okay, because what you're doing is that you're moving from the beta into starting to slowly move out of beta and beginning to enter your alpha state. Okay, and as you continue doing your 5 by 5, your 5 by 5, is that you can start to feel more of the shifting of the energies, and this is where you might start to feel a little shaking. Okay, and you might start to even feel beginning to feel yourself become a little bit warmer. Well, that's because, again, your energies are making that shift. Okay, and as you get into now your alpha state, is that you want to not. I hate people when they start to what's the word I'm looking for? Create with the mind. Okay, um, where they start to create different things with the mind. You want to kind of shut your mind off a little bit, like TV, like the if there was like three bulbs, if there was like two other bulbs working in this lamp, if there was like two other bulbs, if there was like two other bulbs working with this lamp, it would be like shutting down one light, turning down one to where the lights now you only have two, and then you turn off, and then you see how the third light has gone off, and now I'm more in a little bit more darkness here, and then you turn it on, but I got to replace the two bulbs here. But that's like that. Okay, so that's like that. Is that's how the mind begins, from getting into 3, 2, 1 bulb. Okay, which means is that you have shut down a lot of the, not shut down, but slowed down, I should say, a lot of the body functions, because you're only moving from beta to alpha, just like if you went to bed and going to sleep. And if you want to go a little bit deeper inside yourself, is where you start to move from the alpha, slowly transitioning into your delta state. Okay. Starting to transition into your delta state. Here's where you can have some, here's where you're going to have a little fun. Okay, once you get into your delta state, it's like, see, I didn't move, still breathing, but your body has now really has gone into like not a complete suspended animation like if you went into the zeta, okay, state. Remember, zeta is again when you're completely in coma, okay. But this is where you have the fun. This is where you can astral project. This is where you can begin to do your elevator, okay. Getting into the elevator, pressing the button down, and waiting until the elevator stops and opens, and the doors open to where you can experience experience of past life. So this is the fun. This is actually the fun stuff that you can have. Myself, if I want to do the astral projection, I will project myself. If I want to do a past life, to have a past life experience, and I can go those two ways: up and out, in or down and in. Okay. Up and out, down and in. There we go. Okay. So like I said, but you're in control. Remember, you are the one that is in control. And when you want to come, and when you want to come out of your meditation, all you got to do is just continue doing your breathing, and your sync. And then what I usually do is I usually give myself, how should I say, a number. I will say to myself before I go under. I will say is when I hear the word 1, for an example, or 5, or whatever number I pick. And as I want to slowly come out, because when you're in that delta state, you are, like I said, you're just about almost in coma, okay. So you want to bring yourself out. So what you do is you give yourself a number, and you say to yourself, when you hear, you say self. When you hear, or when I think self, when I think of the number 5, you will start to slowly bring yourself out of your meditative state. And so what you do is when you're down, okay, in your delta state, for an example, you might have picked the number 3. And so you say to yourself mentally. So now I said 3, and now I'm starting to slowly come out of my meditative trance. You're going to find out is that you thought that you were only in that trance-like state for a few minutes, when you found out it's been like 45 an hour and a half. That's what's going to surprise you. A lot of people say is, "Oh, gee, I only thought that I was in my meditative trance for 10 minutes when I came out," until I looked at the clock and I said, "Holy shit, man! I've been in there for 45 minutes to an hour. I never knew I could do that." Well, that's what happens when you. That's what happens when you either go up and out into the macrocosmic self, or if you go down and in when you go into the micro. Again, the micro is when you want a past life, when you want to experience a past life. Also, when you go down and in, is that you want to give. Remember, I said about a self healing. Okay? Well, self healings is taking green candles, doing the same thing. And what you want to do is when you start to get into your delta state, is that you want to feel your healing energies start to take over. Say, for an example, you might have maybe some lung problems. Okay, it could be from a cold, for an example. Okay, and you got the congestion, or you got stomach problems, or you might have back problems, or you might even have like a headache, or whatever. You have arthritis. Okay, so when you take yourself down and bring in, is that you're going to work with your healing energies, and you're going to send those energies to that certain part of the body, to the lungs, maybe to the back, to the arthritis, maybe in the knuckles or the fingers, might be your feet, might be in your elbows, wherever the arthritis is, and you're going to let those healing energies take over. I found out through experimentation, again, many years ago, is that the more that you work with the healing energies, also it slows down the aging process. Believe it or not, it does. In fact, people say to me, they say, well, Clark, how I say, I would say to them, I say, well, how old do you think I look? And they look at me and they say, gee, you look like you're in your early 40s. And I says, I love you too. They say, well, you mean you're older? I said, I'll tell you what, let's play how old you think I am. You can go up or you can go down. And I'll just kind of go like this, or I'll go down like that, And so when we get into the 60s, and I go like this, and they go 61, 62, 63, 64. They find out I'm 65 years of age, and they go, "You gotta be kidding me!" I said, "You good with math?" Yeah. Well, it's 2016 minus 1951. What would be my age? And they go 65. There you go. And they say, wow, how do you look so young? You don't even hardly have any gray hair. And I said, that's because I learned how to work with my healing energies as to slow down the aging process. Oh, can I do that too? Yeah, I'll teach you how to do it. So if you want to go in that direction, hey, more power to you. And let people guess what your age, and let people guess what your age is, And when you tell them the truth, they'll go, unbelievable, how did you taking vitamins or what? Well, vitamins kind of help as well, but so does your healing energies. You see, is that when we start to work with our energies, like I talked about in energy systems of the body, for an example, working with the chakras, working with the aura, working with the chords, working with the alpha, the alpha healing and beta psychic energies, is that a lot of transformations, alchemy, starts to take effect. And this is some of the things that you didn't, is that person that was taking TM that paid all that money never learned. Okay, it was either is that the teachers wanted to keep the secrets, or they didn't know the secret of working with that. Now, you can also work with I mean, like you have people in the Middle East talk about like tantra, for an example, working with the sexual energies, how to, and I'm going to use the word, so don't go ooh, okay, is working with the sexual energies of how to have a better orgasm. For an example, how to bring your girlfriend or your wife or partner into receiving and experiencing a better orgasm. So there's a lot of, and this is again, this is all in the metaphysical. This is all in the esoterical. This is all in the hermetics. Okay, and a lot of people don't know this stuff. All right, a lot of people don't know this stuff. So it's you that have to experiment. And like I said, the more experimentation that you do, the more you will get the more that you will get out of something that you're experimenting on, especially like in meditation. So it's just not going into Om Mati Danta, Om Mati Mati, like they did again in TM, Om Mati, okay? Working with vibrations. My producer said I can go for another 10 minutes here. Working with the vibrations, not only with vibrations of the energy system, but in magic, for an example, if you want to call upon a what they call as a demigod, for an example, say like Isis, you want to call upon the goddess Isis, for an example. You just don't say, I call upon Isis. You vibrate Isis. You say, I call upon Isis. And the more that you vibrate through the sound of the voice and sending out those particular energies, is that you're actually going to feel the goddess in the room. Okay? So that's the way the magicians, when they are performing ritual, or mostly in ritualistic magic, for an example. If they're performing ceremonial magic, doing ceremony is just a little bit more what I call flashy. But it's, again, vibration, because our body is vibrating all the time. We just don't notice it. Okay, maybe sometimes you might, if you begin to fall asleep, and you might feel like a boom, real quick, like, what the hell, do we have an earthquake? Okay, but that's because your body, your body energies are beginning to make that shift. But when you go into meditation, is that, again, you have control of the energies themselves. Just like I said, with the healing energies or with the sexual energies. You don't have to be in meditation. You don't have to be in meditation for the sexual energies. But I would say, if you want for a self-healing, is that you get yourself into the alpha state, and give yourself a good going over with the healing energies. Again, I don't think that you're going to be calling upon Isis or Osiris or any of the other gods, unless you are beginning to practice magic. Okay, but again, everything has to do with vibration. Okay, and the reason why you want to get those and here's another reason, real quick, is that the reason why you want to get your vibrations up is because we are in a denser low, dense realm. Okay, this is the reason why spirit can do what they can do, manipulate if they want to. Excuse me, if they want to manipulate objects, they can manipulate the objects by pure thought. Okay, and they're in a different dimensional plane of existence to where the density and where the energies are not as dense. They're more, they're more lighter, and the higher that you go within the realms, for an example, is the lesser density you have, and it's just like taking a feather and all of a sudden that feather will go wee. Okay, but you want to get those vibrations up. You actually want to begin to feel those vibrations moving up, and meditation and by meditating properly is getting those vibrations moving up. Okay, it's just like a medium. For an example, if he doesn't want to project out to let spirit in, is that he or she will sit in a chair, get into a heavy alpha state, and raise their vibrations to where spirit at the same time. See, spirit doesn't like to lower their vibrations because they know that we are in a denser type of dimension, plane of existence. So what spirit wants us to do is raise our vibrations to where they can balance themselves to your vibrations. Okay, so I think I can do it this way. Okay, so let's see here if I can do it too. Okay, so here you are. Okay, here spirit is. Whoops. Okay, here spirit is. So when you go into meditation and you want to raise your vibrations to contact spirit, for an example, is that you want to again slowly raise your vibrations upwards, and what they'll do is they will begin to slowly move down to where you're at your I don't want to say pinnacle, but to where their energies and your energies have met. Okay? If you're down here, spirit will not come down here. You can take my word for it. They don't want to drop down to meet you. They want you to meet them. Get it? So say the spirit's really up there. Like I said, as you go into meditation, is that you start to bring it up, and like I said, they'll start to slowly drop to where they will meet yours. Okay, so a lot of people think is that by not raising your vibrations, but just going into a trance, is classified as true meditation. So again, you don't want to get into the yin yang like this, and have your fingers hang down, because like I said, the energies are going to loop. I mean, the energies will go through the loop and all of a sudden transform right down into Gaia. Boom. You can make your circle like that, and you can keep, and if you want to, again, on the elbow rest here, or on the arm rest of the chair, like that, or if you're sitting, like the elbow rest of the chair, keep your feet flat, get yourself in that comfortable position, and just start to close your eyes and start to go into that 5x5. Again, the accordion. Boom, 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 boom. and start to feel your energies. And you want to, you want to um, even if you want to think of giving a command of raising the energies. Okay, so experiment. I mean, a person just does not move into meditation the correct way. Okay, they're still going to screw up. But remember, in meditation though, you have to have the dedication, the diligence, the devotion, and the determination. And if you don't work with all four, you're never going to have that proper experience. Just let me finish out here real quick. When I say by determination, you're going to say to yourself, I determined that I'm going to go into meditation. Okay? I'm going to devote myself into going into meditation. I'm going to dedicate myself going into meditation, and I'm going to give that devotion going into meditation. And how do you do that? You pick out one or two. You pick out, and you don't have to meditate every day. Okay, you don't have to meditate every day. You pick out a day of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then you say, all right, now I picked the day of the week. Now what time am I going to do what time I'm going to do my meditation? In the morning, say from maybe 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning on Wednesday, or is it going to be before I go to bed at night, whatever time that is? So you pick out your day, you pick out your time, and you make sure with the dedication is that you do the day that you pick, and also the time that you pick for your meditation. You don't say to yourself, well, I'm going to pick out this day on Wednesday at this time, and then the following Wednesday, well, gee, I really don't feel like meditation. I'll do it, but maybe in a few hours. Well, there it is. You're done. There's your dedication right out the window. There's your devotion right out the window. There's your determination right out the window. There's your diligence right out the window. Dedication, determination, diligence, and devotion. That's the 4 D's you work with. If you skip any of those, then the rest of them are classified nil and void as well. Okay? So I hope that you liked this last chapter for book 1. Again, if you ever have, if you have any questions, please write them down below. Okay, I'll be happy to answer. Or the more questions I get, I will create another another video. Remember, this is your channel. This is your channel. This is your videos. I just create them for you. I don't create them for me. Okay, and it's fun. And it's going to be a lot more fun when I get into book 2. Oh, there's going to be so much fun in book 2. You're not going to believe it. It's going to be different. Okay, I'm not going to get into the the metaphysical or the esoterics or the hermetics as deeply as I have gotten into book 1. Book 1 was, like I said, for the introduction and to move right along into where I wanted to go with it, as to help you, the viewer, maybe learn a little bit, maybe learn a lot, maybe do some research, maybe do some actual study. And I hope that with book one of Opening the Doors to the Unknown is I might have accomplished something. And if I have, I hope that you tell your friends to come and take to peruse some of the books that are out on my channel. So, like I said, book two is going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be There's going to be some surprises. So, anyhow, my producer says it's time for me to say bye bye. So that's what I'm going to do. Like I said, I hope that you liked book one with some of the chapters, and if you didn't, hey, that's all right. We all have our likes and we all have our likes and dislikes for the books or the movies or the songs or by what's discussed. So we have our likes and dislikes. I mean, but that's all right because we are humans. Okay, I'm not going to try to change. I'm not going to try to change your ways. Okay. You have to change your own ways. I can just give you the little push and maybe get you on that path a little bit. And if you falter, like I said, we are human. And by making mistakes, or let me rephrase, the more we make mistakes, the more that we learn. And the more we learn, the more knowledge we gain. And the more knowledge we gain, the more that we climb, up the rungs of the ladder. Okay. So, anyways, expect book 2, chapter 1 will be coming up here shortly. And so, like I said, I hope that you like some of the chapters, or or I hope that you liked all the chapters, and I hope that you might have learned something. Okay. Anyways, all I can say is be well, be good. Talk to you later. Bye. This has been a production of Opening the Door to the Unknown with your host, Dr. Clark Schmidt, in association with Dr. Clark Schmidt. Copyright 2016.